evening, everyone. Welcome to DSA Carnival 2K22. I am Akriti and I will be your host for today. So, DSA Carnival is an 18-day boot camp where we'll cover all the topics of data structures and algorithms from basics to the advanced. Today is the first day, and the topic is Basics of All Data Structure, and our instructor for today is Mr. Shikhar Garg, who is SDE at Amazon and also the owner of CodeBuddy channel on YouTube. In all our sessions, we'll be having quizzes. We'll be sharing the link for the quizzes in the chat box, so keep an eye there in case you don't miss it, as there are prizes awaiting for the winners. After all the sessions, we'll be sharing 5 questions based on the topic covered in that session. These questions will help you judge how much you have grasped during the session and also help you get a better grip on the topic that is covered during the session. So, thank you everyone for joining. And if you have any doubts regarding the session or the topic, feel free to comment in the YouTube live chat. We'll cover all your questions after the session is over. And let's begin our first session for DSA Carnival. Over to Shikhar sir.
Hey, hi everyone. I hope all of you are doing good and all of you are safe. So, yeah, I think it's already time, so we can start. So, let me just tell you in brief what we are going to cover today. So, today's session is like you already know, it's the first session of the boot camp. So, it's going to be a very basic session and a very beginners kind of session. So, like, yeah, if you are a beginner and you have only solved maybe 20-30 problems, or you are yet to start programming, then this session is for you. So I think we can start. Let me share my screen. And guys, again, between the session, don't try to write any code or something. Just try to understand. You can write the code anytime after the session. So yeah, I think we can go. Okay. Uh, just a minute. Yeah. So there's a small PPT. Like it's just only for me. Like don't get scared. Like it's not your professor's PPT. Like it's not going to be boring. So it's just for me to remind me, like so that I don't forget anything. So yeah, I think we can start. Okay, so what we are going to cover today. So basically, we are going to focus on introduction to data structures and their complexity analysis. And if time allows, we'll also cover 1 or 2 STL libraries. So let's move forward. Okay, so these three, like I already told you, we are going to cover today these 3 things. One is the basics of data structure, and like time and space complexity we'll discuss in detail, and predefined DS like maps or sets. So yeah, okay. So let's start with data structures first. So let me just go to my show, because like it's better if we can keep interacting using this. So what are data structures? So basically, as the name suggests, it is just like structuring a data in memory in some structured form. Like you are storing the data in some structured manner. So let's take an example. Like even in at your home, when like let's say there was a time when you don't have mobile phones or you do not have anything. If you remember, you used to store that phone numbers in phone directory, right? And sorry, my handwriting is really bad, so you have to cope up with it. So yeah, basically we used to store the contacts in a phone directory, and there, if you remember, we used to first store names by A, then B, then C, and so on, right? So this is because we want to keep the things easy, so that whenever we want to fetch the name from C, we can directly go to the C. Okay, and similarly in computer also we play with data, right? Whenever you're writing a program, you might there will be many circumstances when you have to store the data and when you have to play with the data. So this is all about this. So we'll also in computer we also need some data structure to store the data. Okay, so let's start. So this PPT, like if you see, like first thing is this ways of storing data structure, and like in memory of computer, and also like each data structure has some advantages and disadvantages. So we'll discuss this in detail, like what are the advantages and disadvantages, and which data structure should we use. So basically, some data structures have some advantages, some data structures have disadvantages. So first of all, you should know about the data structure, so that whenever a question comes, you can understand like which data structure to use when. But for that, you first need to understand the different data structures, right? So let's one just small tip from my side, like as you are just beginners. So people what do mistakes is like they generally start solving problems on data structures whenever they start like they start programming. So please don't do that. I'll just suggest like first solve 40, 30, 40 problems, and then move to data structure, like 30, 40 problems on simple for loop, while loop, or maybe if else condition. So solve 30, 40 problems online which do not require any data structure. Arrays you can use because it is very basic data structure. But yeah, and then moves to like different topics, and then start practicing those complex problems. Okay, so let's discuss the arrays. So basically, these are just some names of data structures. So let me just tell you some basic ones. So everyone or most of you must have heard arrays, right? So you store a data in something like, if you want to visualize it, let's say you want to store some numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why do you need array? Because let's say one example, one another way could have been you could have taken 5 variables, right? A1, A2, A3 up to A5. But as more and more numbers will be there, you need to take more and more variables, which is not possible, like, or it's very it will not be a good readable code, right? So what you can do is you can just initialize something like a of 100. And again, like, this session is only about basics, so we are not going to cover these things in detail because it is just introduction to data structures. So but yeah, just telling you some basics. So 1, 2, 3, and you can just store it over here. So now let's talk about, like I already told, that data structures means storing the data in memory in some structured way. So the structure is basically you are storing in a linear order, like, and so computer has some memory blocks. Let's say this is your computer, your CPU, and you're storing some data on RAM. So let's say this is your RAM. So you will store data in a linear order, like 1 will be here, 2 will be here, 3 will be here, 4 will be here, 5 will be here. Okay. So in this order, you can fetch the array. Another data structure is linked list. So here it is also linear. It also stores like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whenever you want to store linear data, like simple and 1D data, like you only have one coordinate, like anything A, B, C, D, or maybe again like 1, 2, 3, or some names. Okay. So what you can do is so again, but the difference is, if you remember, if you can see, these blocks are not attached. If you see my diagram, these blocks are not at all attached, right? So just give me 1 second, sorry. Yeah, so these blocks are not at all attached, because in computers sometimes there are cases, let's say, so this is your memory, right? And just let's say this is already blocked because you have stored something, maybe C over here, before even starting the code. Now you need 5, you need to store 5, or maybe let's say you need to store 6 numbers. Okay, so you can store 1, 2, but you don't have anything after this because it's already is blocked, so you cannot take this memory. So what we can do is we can store 1, 2, 3 over here, 4, 5, and maybe 6 somewhere here, and we can attach them. Like 1 is connected to 2, 2 is connected to 3, 3 is 4, 4 is 5, 5 to 6. How to do that? That's all a part of linked list, and we are going to cover, I think we all have a session in future for linked list that you can understand very well there. But just trying to take a maybe a little bit overview of this. Okay, so this is how we are storing. So that's how it is different from like an array. Now another data structures are there. Just so different data structure. Now you understand, like, data structure basically just storing some data in a structured format, and structure can be anything, linear, or there's another data structure, tree. I'm not sure whether you have heard of it or not. Maybe who are beginners who might not have heard. So there we store some data in a kind of tree kind of format. Okay, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically all these are, why are we calling them data structures? Because they all are storing data. This is the first point. And second point is they are storing data in a structured format, and that's why they are called data structures, because they are different data structures storing the data in different formats, and each of them has some use cases that we will discuss. So that's why in the slide also, if you see, we wrote each DS has some disadvantages and advantages, so that we will cover. And I think let's move to, yeah, so basically this is all about just basic introduction of data structures. But before data structures, like I already told you, first you have to solve 30-40 problems, and for that, even solving that problem, the more important thing is analyzing the complexity. So what are complexities, and why should we care about them? Let's also see that part. Okay, so whenever you write a code, okay, let me give you an example. Let's say you want to write a code of uh, let's say this is your question: find sum of 1 to n. Okay, basically you are given an n, let's say 5. So answer will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is 10. Which is 15, right? 9, 12, 15. So you have to tell me that. Okay. So whenever we have to solve a question, first thing that should be there is your code should be correct. This is the foremost important thing, at least in competitive programming or whenever you're solving a DS problem. Okay, so what does it mean? Code should be correct means if I'm giving some input, let's say in this case, if I'm giving 5, I should get the correct answer. So it's not like I should get the maybe 18 or 19. So first, the foremost important condition is your code should be correct. Now come to second condition. What should be the second condition? Second condition, not condition, or maybe your some good ways to tell your code. Second is code should be fast. Okay, now let's say I say here, okay, your code is correct, you will give me 15 answer, but it will come after 1 year. Okay, does that make any sense, or is it useful for me? If I'm saying this code is correct, but it is giving me after 1 year. So that's why we say the code should be correct and code should be fast as well. Or better word should be code should execute. I didn't want to use those complex terms, but let's just better. Basically, your code should give me the answer in a faster way. Another point is code should use less memory. So let's say you are writing some code, and if you know, like you have some RAM, right, in computer, let's say this is 4 GB or 8 GB. Okay, so your program should not use like all of the memory. So you should try to write a code in such way that it uses less memory. So these all three are important. There are other things as well, like code should be neat and clean. If you remember, like code should be indented, but at least these three things are the foremost thing, at least for when you are a student. So you should try to first write the correct code, then try to focus like code should be fast, and then it should use less memory. So will everyone, I think, understood what's the correct code, right? But now let's discuss about the fast way, like how what do I mean by like the code should be fast. So let's see. So code should be fast means let's take an example again. Let's take the same example. So I gave you find the sum of numbers of from 1 to n. Okay, so okay, let's say I ask you to write the code. What you will do? There are two ways. I think all of us are smart. But let's say we are very beginner and we don't know any formula or something. So what you can do is you can write this: for int I is equal to 1, I less than n, or if you follow zero base indexing, then anything. Okay, this is like, sorry, just give me a minute. This is not an array. So yeah, I should, if I'm starting from 1 to n, and you will initialize your sum to 0, and sum is equal to sum plus I, right? And then you will print. So if you are don't get scared of this, we are just focusing on concepts. You can use C++, Java, C, whatever, like. So you will print a sum, right? So this is pretty much simple. Just a minute, yeah. So now let's look at this code. So basically computer, so now for doing this, your computer, what your computer is doing, computer basically executing your instructions, that whatever you are telling to computer, whatever your lines of code are telling to computer. So here what are you telling? You're telling like, okay, here add I to sum, and you are doing this n times, right? Because in the first iteration it will be 1, then 1 plus 2, then this 3 plus 3. So you are doing this n times, and you are asking some computer to take instructions. So let's say your computer takes some constant time in executing one instruction. Constant time is very fast, and let's say just in single instruction it can take in 1 unit time. So what will be the overall complexity, like how much time it will take? Okay, so this is generally what we call order n time. So it is taking basically order n time to compute the answer. Now let's discuss what is this order n. So order n is like, if you want to go to in mathematical terms, it is just basically you can say it's a here it's n, it's time. So you can say like in which order is my time increasing when I'm increasing the n. So like, I know this is little mathematical terms, but if you look at closely, it's very simple. You, for now you can understand that it is taking n time because it has to execute n instructions. Okay, and why n instruction? Because you are making a loop of order n, right? So you are, so that's why the complexity is order n for this. But now let's say we want to make the code fast. Okay, so if you remember, there is another formula to find this 1 to n, which is n into n plus 1 by 2. I hope like all of us have studied this formula in maths, right? Now what you can do is, if you have to write the code, just a minute. Sorry, yeah. So if you have to write the code, what you have to do, you will just start your code at int main and all, and then int sum is equal to, you will take an input n into n plus 1 by 2, right? And then maybe you can print the answer. Just give me 1 minute. Sorry. Yeah. So I hope I'm audible, right? Let me know if you get any disturbance from my side. Okay. So yeah, see out some, we are printing. So now if you see closely here, we are just printing one instruction, right? We are not printing, we are not doing n instructions. Here what we are doing is, we have asked computer to solve n instructions, right? Sum plus I, sum plus I, sum plus I n times. But here we just asking computer to just execute the instruction in order one time. So it's only a single instruction. So I think this is for the time complexity, right? Okay, and we will discuss more in detail, but for now let's understand this thing, like we are improving the speed of the code. So it's order of n, right? And now let's move further. I can take, let's make more example. Let's say you want to find, let's say let me just give you another question, and so that we can more discuss. Okay, so maybe I can ask you, like, find the frequency of, maybe find the frequency of, find the max frequency of all the numbers. So let's say your example is 1 2 2 3 3 3, and I ask you, like, find the maximum frequency of a number. So here you can see 3 is occurring 3 times. Okay, so now if I ask you to write the code, I'm just asking you basic one. So you know, you have to write a nested loop for I is equal to 1 to I less than n, and I plus plus, and then for j is equal to don't focus on the exact code, but I just focus on what I want to, and you will do some operations. Basically you will write some instruction, whether you will compare something or anything. So what's happening over here is, you can see you have to execute total how many instructions. Like computer will execute first for every I, you will uh, executing n instructions, and total I is from 1 to n. So basically you are executing n square instructions. And if you get confused, like in starting I also used to get confused, so you can take a simple example. You can put n is equal to 3, n is equal to 3 here, 3 here, and you can see you are executing 9 instructions. So that's how you can see here, okay, this is taking n square, and similarly n cube, and at least you are giving the basic, you should get the basic gist of question. Now the main thing comes, which is TLE. And like when I also started programming, this word used to like get the like used to scare me or too much. Like whenever I write a code, I used to get TLE, and people obviously, well, in beginning people generally face, and they just ask me, or maybe ask your friends questions like how to optimize this question, how to optimize this code, or how can I remove TLE. Okay, so before asking even those questions, first you should focus on this question, and it is very important question: why am I getting TLE? So this is the foremost important question that people don't ask to themselves, but they generally directly ask their friends like how to optimize. So let's focus on this. So what happen is, whenever you are solving a question online, or maybe on some code chef or Spoj or wherever, so you can generally take an exemption that you can only execute around 10 to the power 8 instructions in 1 second, okay, in a constant time. So what happens is, if you will execute more than 10 to the power 8, then it will give you a TLE. So but what is TLE? So TLE is just time limit exceeded. Okay, so time limit exceed, and as the name suggests, basically your code is taking more time than it should have taken. Like maybe your code is taking 20 seconds, okay, to execute to find the answer, but your question wants the answer in 1 second. So that is where this time limit, like I already told, your question always, or like your code should be first, should be correct. So if your code is correct, it's fine. Then the code should be fast, right? But again, so every question whenever you solve online has a time constraint. Like it will, if you open any platform, it will tell you that your code should be get the output in 2 to 5 seconds, or 1 second, 3 seconds. So, and if your code is taking more time, you will get a TLE. Then it's asking you to optimize it. So again, 10 to power, like now what's how to understand why I'm getting TLE. So basically you can remember this, that your 10 to power 8 seconds are generally 10 to power 8 instructions are executed in 1 second. So, and like someone is asking doubts about hash maps and all, we will cover that later, but we are moving gradually, right? Because there are other beginners as well. They are just starting. We'll cover hash map and all this in little in further part of the session. So let's begin. So like I told you a question, that question, what was the basic question? Like find sum of 1 to n, okay? And let's say you write a code, okay, you don't know the formula, and you write this code for I is equal to 1 to n, and again the like find the sum, okay, and maybe you are printing out C out. So it is correct, I agree, but what the problem here is, if I give you n is equal to 10 to the power 10 maybe, okay, so your code is how many instructions it is executing? It is executing 10 to the power 10 instructions, and what I said, 10 to the power 8 it takes in 1 second. So 10 to the power 10 will take in 100 seconds, right? So you will get TLE. But if you write a formula, basically n into n plus 1 by 2, you are just executing one instruction, which we call generally constant time. You can write it like this, order of 1. So basically you are just executing one. So your this answer will get passed, but your this answer will be correct, but you will get a TLE. Okay, so and we'll see more examples, more better examples to understand this. But let's for now let's look stick to this. Now the second thing that, like I told in the third part of that code, first is that is like code should be fast. Sec 1 second. I told like code should be you are correct. Then code should be fast, and third is your code should use less memory. So what does less memory means? So basically, so whenever you're writing a code, you use some memory, like you make some arrays. Okay, you can make a 2D array. I'm not sure whether you have heard about the arrays or not. Maybe different people have. Some people have heard, some have not, who are just yet to start. So it's a very small thing. Space complexity is very easy. Space complexity. Okay, so let's say while solving a question, you need an array you are using an array. Okay, then it means you are taking order of n space because you are using n extra memory. If you are using a 2D array, it means you are using an order of n square space. Okay, because you are using a 2D array and you are using n square array. So basically, if your n is 5, and let's say I use 5, so basically you are using 5 space, which can increase based on n. So and if you are making a 2D array of 5 cross 5, so it is clear like you are using 25 blocks of memory, which is order of n square, because as n will change, this will change. Or maybe you can make a 3D array, depends again. Or maybe you are not using anything, you are just using some 1 2 variable. Let's say I ask you to print sum of two numbers. Okay, I'm giving you 2 and 3. So first you will do a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, and c is equal to a plus b, and you are printing c out. So you are not using any order of memory. Even if your numbers get bigger or something, you are still using only 3 variables, so you can generally take it as a constant. So another important part is, let's say if you are now what's if you are using all of this. So let's say you are making a 3D array, you are making a 2D array, and a single array. So basically how much space you have used? Order of n square plus order of n cube plus order of n square plus order of n. But when we write, we generally call it as order of n square. So whoever is bigger, we just take it as this. So whosoever is like out of all these three is bigger, we generally call the space complexity of this question is order of n cube, because it is the biggest one. And similarly in the time complexity, let's say you have written a this nested loop, so it is taking n square. After that you are using a single loop. We'll discuss this one example. So again, your overall complexity of the question is n square, because it is a bigger one. So whoever is big, you will just take it like whoever is big, you will just tell that this is your example. Okay, so let's take, I think someone is having a doubt how it's 100 seconds. So I think it's basic maths. Like if you are executing one instruction in 10 to the 8 instruction in 1 second, 10 to the 10 instruction will be 10 to the square second. So it is 100 seconds. Anyway, so let's now again, I think I'll suggest one more thing. Whenever you are learning programming or something, theory will not teach you much. Always practice problems. So and always try to learn using problems. So let's discuss one more problem which will clear your some of the doubts. Just let me see the question. Yeah, okay. So question is 1 second, I wrote. So we have covered time complexity, space complexity, and now using this question we will clear our concepts even more. And this is the like main thing to teach. Like this theory is not like you don't, generally people don't understand by theory, but if you solve your example, you can relate it to more. Okay, so find the maximum frequency. Cool. Okay, I think people are getting confused over this. So basically, if your mass 10 to the power 8 is, just to repeat, 10 to the power 8 instruction in 1 second, one instruction will be 1 upon 10 to the power 8 second, and 10 to the power 10 instructions will be 1 upon 10 into 10 to the power 10 here, 10 to the power 8, so which is square, so it will be 100 seconds. So it's just basic math, like you must have done this in college or school as well. So Okay, I can repeat one more time. So basically what I said is 10 to the power 8 instructions you can run in 1 second. Okay, so basically you can take an example here. You can do 10 to the power 8 tasks in one. If a person can do 10 to the power 8 tasks in 1 second, then in how much time he will do one task? 1 upon 10 to the power 8 second. And in how much time it will do 10 to the power 10 tasks? 1 upon 10 to the power 8 into 10 to the power 10, which is 100 seconds. And guys, whatever your concept is not clear, you will totally understand it uh, by the next example. Just hold on with this. Okay, so the question is you have to find the maximum frequency. Okay, so example question is just like you are given some numbers, basically n numbers, 1, 2, 3, or 3, and in any order, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so you have to tell me which number has the highest frequency. So here this like if you see 1 is occurring only one time, 2 is occurring 4 times, 3 is occurring 2 times, right? So if I'm right, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So basically which number has the highest frequency? Number 2, and you also have to print the frequency of this number, which is 4. Now let's say I'm just starting and I'm a very beginner, so how can I solve this question? So we'll start one by one and we will understand how to solve this question, and then we'll understand how this complexity come into picture and why should we use. Okay, so first solution that comes to a mind is, let's say I don't know anything, I'm just a very beginner. So one thing I can do is I will place one pointer or my number is here, and then I can see how many ones are there in the further part. So I will keep my eye over here and another j will execute. We will check if there any other one or not. So first of all it will store one ka one because one is occurred only one time. Then my eye will move it to here because it's 2, and then you can compare j from starting from here. So it will compare like 2 is equal to 2, then this 2 is also equal to 2, and you can increase the frequency. And like it's very simple code, right? So if I have to write this in code, I'm just writing plus, and for j is equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus, and then you can compare something like this, like if a of I is equal to a of j, and do some count increase because, and then you can add some conditions. So but again, like again implementation you can write on your own, it's very simple, it's all up to you. So it's again your implementation. Like if you are starting I is equal to 0, then you can also start from j is equal to 0 because you are comparing from it. And if you want to starting your count from 1, then you can implement j is equal to I plus 1. So that's all again up to you. And then you can store, you can use while loop, you can use for loop, anything which you want. But again, I'm not, main focus is not on the exact this code. Okay, so what I'm telling is if you look at closely how much time you are taking. Okay, so I know you guys all are very smart and you will find the answer using, and let's say if you are using you are finding the answer using this code. So how much time you are taking? So like we discussed earlier, you are, how many instructions are you uh, executing, a computer executing? N into n, right? Because for every I it is instructing j times, n times. So and there are total n i's, so it will be n cross n, right? So currently your n square. Okay, so let's write over here. So your time complexity is order of n square. Now let's talk about the space complexity. And generally when we talk about the space complexity, we generally talk about the extra space. So one space is like we already stored some array, right? But let's talk about the complexity of algorithm. So are we using any extra space? We are just using, I think, one count variable. So space complexity is order of 1 because you are not taking any extra space, right? So Now I hope this complexity part is clear. But again, let's say I give you that, if you remember, whenever you solve any competitive programming problem, any problem, you have given some constraints, right? Here n will be from 1 to 10 to the power 4, let's say. So if n is from 1 to 10 to the power 4, so in the worst case it can be, and again, like you only have to check on the worst case. So your, so if I compute how much time it will take in the worst case, 10 to the power 4 into 10 to the power 4, which is 10 to the power 8. And as we learned, here 10 to the power 8 instructions generally run in 1 second, so it will pass. You will not get TLE. Okay. But what if I give you n 10 to the power till 10 to the power 5? Okay. So now you are taking how much time? 10 to the power 5 into 10 to the power 5, which is 10 to the power 10, right? Okay, so 10 to the power 10 is like how these are instructions. So you can obviously use 100 seconds, but again you will get a TLE. So yeah, that's about it. So now you know ki, okay, before asking a question to your senior or someone ki why it is using order of n square and why you are getting TLE, so you should first analyze yourself ki yaar, why I'm getting TLE. Then you can ask him, okay, how to optimize it. So okay, now let's see how can we optimize it, if do we have any better solution. But let's look at the code first. If just I'll just show the code, and we don't have that much time, so we have to cover a little fast, obviously. And again, yeah, this session will be, I guess, on YouTube after this also, so you can anytime you can come and you can watch. So again, what we are doing is we are using a brute force. So first we have already taken the input of the numbers. Now you have to find, so this is the first method, which is called brute force. Brute force means the most rigorous method, like which is very naive. Okay, so what are we doing? We are just executing a loop from I0 to n, j0 to n. So initialize count to 0, and code will be also provided after the session, so you can have a look at it. Now if a of I is equal to a of j, you are just increasing the count, right? And then you can check which count is having greater than, again it's all your upon your implementation. You can start from j is equal to I plus 1, then you will start your count from 1. So don't, every time I always say in my sessions also, that don't mug up the code. You can always write any implementation. Okay, so yeah, if you see, if the count is greater than max frequency, you can store this and you can give the answer. Okay, so now let's, so this was one of the solution. But again, as we saw here, if n is 10 to the power 5, then we are getting a TLE. So sorry, so now how to optimize this? So let's learn one more way. Okay, so let's learn another way to store the answer, which is 1 2, let's take the same example, and you will realize the power of array in this example. Okay, so let's say I want to optimize this answer. Okay, what can I do? So let's take an example. Let's say you don't know, you are not a computer programmer, you are just you, what you could have done maybe in notebook. Okay, so you have started from here 1, you had said okay, it has occurred 1 time. Then you will go to 2, you will say okay, it is again 1 time. Then you will go to 3. So 3 is basically again occurred 1 time. Then you again encountered a 3. You see, okay, I already have 1 3, so I can increase it to 2, right? Because I already had a 3, and then I can increase it to a 2. Then you encountered a 2. You will see, okay, do I have any 2? You will say yes, I have. So you will increase it to 2 because one you had already found earlier, and now you will increase it. Then you will find another 2. Then you can increase one more time. You will find again 2. You'll increase one more time, and you find one more 2, and you can increase one more time. Okay, and let's say in this question I have already said that your n will be 10 to, like I already told you, n will be 10 to the power 5, and your number will be only between 1 to 100. So again, constraints always matters a lot in a coding, whenever you solve a coding question. Now after, at the end, you can say, okay, 1 is one occurred 1 times, 2 has occurred 5 times, 3 has occurred 2 times. So answer is 5, because and the number is 2 and its frequency is 5. But how to do that using a code, because you don't have like you're not doing it manually, right? So what we can do is we can basically use array for this. So what we can do is we can use an array. Okay, like I already told you, these numbers will be up to only 100. So what I'm doing is, let's say make this an array. So you already know the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay, maybe up to 100. So currently what I'm assuming is this is what so if you remember, if you look at closely, every array has two parts. One is the index and one is the value. So like, let's say index is I and its value is a of I. Okay, so now you can use it in this way. So what you can do is, okay, you saw 1. Okay, so I will go at one index and I'll say do one. So initially everything is 0 because I have not started iterating. So for me, nothing, every number has 0 frequency. Now I will start iterating. So I saw 1, I'll say, okay, so let's increment 1 by 1. So I increase the frequency. Basically at I, what I will do, a of I plus plus. Now you will go to 2. You will again increment the value at 2, which is 1. Earlier it was 0, now it will be 1. Now 3 will be also similar in this case. Now look at closely. So now again you will go to 3, but you will see here, okay, 3 already has 1. So what will be its value? It will be 2. Basically you will do 1 plus 1, like we are doing I is equal to a of I plus plus. Then you will go to 2, again you will increment plus 1, then again 2, you will do plus 1, then 2 more 2s, so plus 1 plus 1. Okay, now this is what we call hashing. This generally hashing in very basic hashing. Okay, you will again have a dedicated session for hashing in future. So but generally what we are covering is, you are using an array to hash the value. So basically you are mapping the index to the value. They are a pair. So where index is the number and your value is the frequency. And after, at the end, you can say, okay, 1 has occurred 1 time, 2 has occurred 5 times, 3 has occurred 1 time. Now let's see how can we write the code. And we'll also see why we are discussing this. Let's just move it. Okay, and so let's say you have already take the input in array A. Let's say your a of I has already these numbers, which is 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, and I think one more 2. Okay. Now your code will be very simple, right? You will first make a frequency array like we made. This will see what should be the number here, but let's say we are storing 100. Okay, we are using a 100 size array. So for I is equal to your index from basically 0 to I less than, because you have n numbers, I plus plus, and let's say you have initialized this array to 0, and there are other various ways to initialize. You can write a loop, you can use memset or anything. And then what you are doing is, for every time what you are doing, a of frequency of a of I terminal increase the brightness. Yeah, so let's look at this very closely. This is a single line, but this is the most important line over here. So what you are doing, you are just let's again dry run it one more time. So let's say this is your frequency array. So you get 1. So what will it will be look like? Frequency of 1 plus plus, right? So you will use some another color, maybe black. So you will go at the first index and you will write 1 because earlier it was 0. Then you will go to this 2 and 0 1 2. So you will again write at index 2 if it will be frequency of 2 plus plus. So it will be again, because earlier it was 0, it will become 1. Then at 3 it will become 1. Now look at closely. So at the I is equal to 4, sorry, 0 1 2 3, I is equal to 3, your value is 3. So you will write frequency of a of I, which is 3 plus plus. So earlier this value is 1. Now 1 plus 1 will become 2, right? So at the end, when you iterate it, it will look like 1 5 and this will become 3. After this, you can just write one more for loop to find which of this is the maximum, and whichever is the maximum, yeah, number will be the index and the frequency will be the value. Like I told you, every array has two things: one is the index and one is the value. So that's how you can use array for hashing and to find. But why did we do this? Now if you look at closely how much time we are taking or how much instructions we are executing, we are only an. So now it will take let's say order of earlier we were taking order of n square, now it is taking order of n. And someone is commenting, and that is correct obviously, but we are not discussing that much key. I don't want to confuse the beginners by directly jumping into log n complexities and then maybe order of n factorial. Let's understand n and n square, and also you should also not get spoon fed by for everything, right? So you can always learn on your own after that, but again first understand the basic concepts, and that's how generally you should learn programming too. Okay, that's again one more advice from my side. So order of n square, earlier you were taking, now you are using order of n. So now if your n was 10 to the power 5, earlier you were executing 10 to the power 10 instructions, which was taking 100 seconds. But now your 10 to the power 5 will take only 10 to the power 5 instructions, which is obviously less than 1 second. So your code will get passed. Okay, and that's what we wanted to achieve. But again, if let's now analyze the space complexity. So if you remember, for earlier for method 1, your space complexity was order of 1 and time complexity was order of n square. For method 2, this one, your time complexity, as we discussed, is order of n, and your space complexity, if you look closely, now you are using an extra space of order n, right? So it will be your extra space, you are taking n, so you are spacing order of n space. So now people will get confused, like okay, it has better time complexity, this solution, but not a good space complexity. And in method 1 you have good space complexity but not time complexity. So which should I go with? See, if you are doing a competitive programming question in online platform, space complexity will not matter that much, to be very frank, not going to details. You will never get at least unless you are using more space more than 10 to the 8, then your solution you have to do something better. But if you are not taking 10 to the 8 space, like here if you see, you are taking only 10 to the 4 space, because 10 to the 5 space and time complexity 10 to the 5. So you should always focus on improving the time complexity first, and and again it depends on like the use cases, but in competitive programming always focus on first time complexity and then on space complexity. Many people might be like not agree with me, but that's how I did. Okay, so time complexities matters more in at least competitive programming question in your DSA problems, and then you can obviously later try to improve space complexity. Okay, so one thing that let's just look at the code once. It's very simple, and again you can definitely write your own after this session ends. So you are just taking frequency of this array. Now how will I decide what this should be the number? Okay, that we'll discuss. And now just initialize this array to 0, and then we are just let me increase the font. So, and after that we are just increasing the frequency, and yeah, after that we are just running a loop and checking which index has the highest frequency, and where the frequency is maximum we are just storing it in this maximum frequency and the number, and we are just printing it. Okay, so now is there any problem with the solution? Okay, first I have written too much memory waste. We will discuss what is this, and not able to solve for big numbers, but why? Okay, let's see. So okay, so let's see this. What's the problem with this? Okay, so let's say I told you like make a frequency array of 110 to the 5, right? Because your in that question I said a of I, basically your value will be always between 1 to 100. So you can make up to 100 also, that doesn't matter much, 3 4 5 extra blocks, because whatever you're doing, let's say you have this number 1 and let's say 10. Okay, and this is your input array. So what you will do, you will make a frequency array again. So 0, index 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, now you at 1 you have increased the frequency to 1 to 1, and in 10 you have frequency 2 at the end. Okay, but now look at closely here. This all the space has gone waste, right? This is total waste for us. And like I already told you, you cannot make an array greater than 10 to the power 8 in at least C++. So what if I give you a number like 1 and 10 to the power 9 and 10 to the power 9? Okay, now because you will not be able to make this array. You can sorry. So now to store this frequency, then you can store like frequency array, but you cannot make this much big array. So your solution will get wrong answer or maybe runtime error, because you are not able to allocate this much memory. So what to do here? Here the problem is, again, one problem was we are wasting too much space. Another problem is we are not able to solve this problem for big numbers. So now what can we do in this case? Okay, so now let's take something and we can, so just let's imagine okay, let's say you don't have you are not a computer, you are not a programmer, and what you could have done in this case, maybe you could have, let's say you have make a table. Okay, so what we can do to solve this problem? So what I can do is maybe let's say I have 1, so I will maintain a number after this. So like we were doing in so in array also, what we were doing, we were having an index which was mapping to its frequency, right? This is the index, this is the frequency. So here also what we are doing, let's say we have some container, and we have, you can say we have some table where this left part is index and right part is frequency. So initially when you are at 1, its frequency is 1, you have noted it down. Then your 10 comes, then you directly wrote 10. You did not write 2 3 4 because you don't need them, you just need 10. You write 1 because your 10 has one more frequency. Then again a 10 comes, Now you will search, okay, whether my table has 10. You can see, okay, yes, it has, and you will just increase it to 2. Okay, so this solves your problem, but I don't know what is this table in computer. But let's say I wish ki yaar, okay, it would have been possible to make this something like this. Okay, so what, and now let's say you want to because it is not like an array, so you cannot do like indexing, right? But so what you can do is you can traverse it row wise. Let's understand for now. Let's say you have some pointer over here, and you are at, let's say after that you want to check which number has the highest frequency. So what you can do is you will first check the first row, then the second row, and then you can see, okay, whichever frequency is highest, I will print. So what's the advantage of using this table? You are not wasting this space 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which were you were wasting in, which you were wasting in this in array. Yeah. So but how to make this table, that's the question. Okay, so let's take one more example. Let's say you have 1 and another number is 10 to the power 9, which you were not able to solve. So what you can make, you can again make this table. You can write 1 over here, make it frequency 1, and let's say you have one more number again 1. Then you will write 10 to the power 9 in this table. You will make its frequency 1. Okay, so what can we do? So this is what, and if you look closely, this table has two properties, right? Key and value. So basically left side is key and right side is value, and these are tied up, right? Because you are saying key is tied to value. These have some relation. Like in this question, key is the index and value is the frequency. Okay, but again, question still have, we do still have question. If is it possible to make this kind of table or something? So yes, what C++ or Java also and Python might have also. I have never used Python. So yeah, I have mainly worked in C++ and Java. So C++ and Java provides you a map. So map concept is basically comes here. So what we do is it provides you something called map, which is nothing but a table. You might have get scared by the term map, but it's very simple. It's even like I can say it's even simple to understand than array. So it's a map, right? You just write a word map, then this is a syntax. You have to provide key and value. Okay, so what is this key and value? So key and value, you have to provide a data type, like what kind of key and what kind of values you are storing. So here if you look at it, key is storing your key is storing this integer, and value is also storing integer, right? Or and it depends, like if the numbers are very big, then you can say this is storing long int or whoa. Then we will write, so we have to tell what are the type of key and value. Map of int comma int. But why, again let's repeat why we have written this int comma int, because it depends on the question. So here your key is integer, your value is also integer. So we have used map int comma int, and then you have to give the name of the map. So if I look at closely at array, what, how you write int a of 10, right? So this is your data type, right? So this is our data type of map is complete. And then you have to write the name, like you write the name of the array, you also have to write the name of the map. So let's say just call it m. Now you don't need to define this complete number, because here you are just appending to this kind of table. And so yeah, so basically what, let me increase the brightness. So map int of m, right? So this is the name of the map. So for now, obviously map internally, there are again different implementation. One is like I think Neeraj wrote, you use that hashing, you make a hash function which give you a hash, and then you store the data in that particular hash. But in another way, you also need use red black trees to make these maps. But again, don't go in internals, at least as a beginner, that I would suggest. Once you understand map completely from outside, then always go inside and try to understand. So this is what we are making as a table. Just imagine it as like this, your table. So you have to store the value. So every data structure has three parts. Even when you have understood array, first part would have been the initialization. Then you learn how to insert the data, and third part you learn is how to traverse that array, right? Even in map also, even in map also, what we have to do is you first learn how to initialize, that you have already written. So I will again write the syntax. Let me just use my left side of the screen. So syntax of the map is very simple. You write the keyword map. You have to provide the data type. Again, you have to write the data type. So this is the data type of key. This is the data type of value. Okay. So yeah, now again comes to our question. Like question is 1, 2, 3. Again, that same example. Let's take it smaller. Yeah. So now you have to insert the data. So inserting in a map is kind of same as of array. You can, if you write something like m of a is equal to 3, let's say m of 1. So basically it will map 1 to 3. Okay, like we did in array. But here what we have to do is again the frequency. And again you can do like m of 1 plus plus, like we do on array. Okay, so what you can do is like again you encountered 1. So you will first do m of 1 plus plus. And again, initially map will see if we have 1. If it does not have, it will assume it as to 0. So what you can do is you can use, so what you will do in starting 1 will tie to 1 because m of 1 plus plus. This part has currently 0 before starting. So it will be 0 plus 1. Now 2 will come. So now you will write m of 2 plus plus. So 2 will become 1. Then 3 will come. You will write 3 to 1. And then 2 will come. So you will write m of again 2 plus plus. But now this m of 2 is 1, right? It will search internally. You don't have to do anything. Everything will be done by map. So m of 2 is 1. So you are asking it to do plus plus. So it will be become 2. Now again 2 will come. You will write m of 2 plus plus. Now it will become 3. Okay. So at the end, when you have inserted, your table is ready. Now you wanted to find the maximum frequency. But again, if you look closely, how to traverse this, because you don't have indexes, right? You cannot traverse it like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because it does not have number like 0, 1, 2, 3. These are not indexes. Like otherwise I would have written. So what's the way to traverse a map? So it automatically provides you a pointer. Don't get scared again by pointer. So just imagine you have some arrow. This arrow initially points to first row. Okay, let's say this arrow name is IT. And again, name can be anything. We will discuss how. So this IT is pointing to first row. We will see how and how to write this in computer, but let's understand logically. So this IT is pointing to first row. But again, this row has two parts, right? Key and value. And you want to understand, like you want to print both these things. So this is the first part, this is the second part. So it's a very, again, simple concept. So how can you access this? You can write IT, this arrow first, which will print your key. If you write IT arrow second, it will print your value. Okay. So these are all predefined syntaxes that your language provides. It's not like I have written first or second. This is like, it's a predefined syntax. So you have to write IT arrow first. We'll look at the code also and how to write. But now how to traverse, like how to increase, because in we do I plus plus in array and something like that. And again, and how to even like make this arrow point to first row, because what in array, what we do, I is equal to 0, I not equal to n, and I plus plus. But here we don't have any 0, we don't have any n. It's just a table, right? So what's the way? It's again very simple way. So there's a syntax for creating this arrow. That we will take later. We'll understand that. But again, let's say you got this arrow and its arrow name is IT. So what you have to do is, if you write IT is equal to, this map name was M. If you remember, we have made it M. If you write M dot begin, so it's equivalent to this. So for when you write I is equal to 0, you came at this 0, right? When you write IT is equal to M dot begin, basically you are pointing this arrow to the first row. Then there you were writing I not equal to N. Basically I is not equal to this last step. Okay, but here we don't have N. What we call this here is M dot N. So IT not equal to M dot N. And again, like we do I plus plus, we will write IT plus plus. So again, it is again very similar to, and we'll now write the code complete, then you'll understand more. So how to traverse this completely, okay? Now we'll just focus on this part. So first of all, we need this arrow, right? So to get this arrow, again, there is a syntax. You have to write the same, you have to tell what type of my map is. So again, map was of int comma int. And then you have to write iterator. So this is the name of this arrow. Like this is the, I can say the data type of the arrow. You have to write this. Then you have to add these two columns. Or I think, wait, I think I might have this. I always is confused whether this will come before or not. But let me just confirm. Just a second, iterator. Yeah, sorry, my bad. I always get confused here. So you just you first need to make these two dots columns here, and then you write the iterator. So this is your syntax for the data type, and this is the name. With that name you can write anything, like you write ABCD. I generally take it IT. Okay, now to traverse, what you can do for IT is equal to M dot begin, IT not equal to M dot end, I plus plus. And then you can, how to print, like I already told you, you want to access these things, right? So one is IT first. Now you can increase the value or whatever you want to do. You want to compare, you can directly do. This will be IT second. So now let's look how the code is. So again, first we took the input for scene, like take the map, and then we are making a map. And why we called it int comma int? Because your key was type int, because it's your number, and your frequency is also type of int. Now let's say, just an example, let's say I have given you a question to find frequency of characters. So what you could have done, char comma int, because now instead of numbers you have characters, but frequency is again of integer type. So I'll also write, if you want to, and frequency of characters. Okay, now you have initialized an iterator. Then you are inserting the data into the map in the table. Like I already told, it's very simple, like we discussed, M of A plus plus. And this is that part, if you see. Okay, so what I'm doing, I want to iterate over the map and want to see which one has the highest frequency, right? So again, IT is equal to frequency dot begin, then IT is not equal to frequency dot end, IT plus plus. Okay, and then you can compare like this, IT of second is greater than max frequency. So your max frequency is equal to IT dot second, because whenever you are encountering any frequency greater than the current frequency, you can store it, and you can also store the number, and then you can just directly print it. So this is like what we call map. So what we achieved by this, so what we achieved is basically you are not now wasting that much memory, because if you want to store 1 and 100, you are only using 2 blocks, and you are not using 1 to 100 blocks, and you are also able to solve the big numbers, because let's say your number was 10 to the 15, so you cannot initialize an array to 10 to the 15. But now what will happen in this case? You have a number of 10 to the 15. What you can do is your number range will become long n, and frequency is still in, because you only have 10 to the 5 numbers. So that's we covered. Again, this session was not about STL, so we are not going into the internals of the maps, or not what other functions this provide, but I just told you the basics of the map. Okay, and so yes, some of the properties that map provides is, oh, someone has asked a good question: can we access the previous data? If yes, can you show how? Sure. So if you want to access the previous data, again, you can move the pointer front and back. You can just write it dot minus, it minus minus, like you do with an array. So your arrow will move backwards, and then you can print. So it's again similar to that. Like you are adding it plus plus, you can also do it minus minus. Okay, and yes, again, someone like, right, we definitely reduce the space complexity. And if you want to space, I can also talk about time complexity. So basically, but again, it will be too much detail for now. So, but for maybe who are able to understand, I can say here, maybe who already know map. So I'll just, so make, whenever you are constructing this map, it will take n log n space, n log n. And again, this is, or again, two details. There are two kind of maps: unordered map and ordered map. So that's why I don't want to go into detail. But in the worst case, if you are using ordered map, and someone is asking what is the difference in map and hash. Hash is just a hash function. Basically, it's just a function that you are, let's say you are assigning something, like for a big number, maybe 100, you are assigning it to, using a hash function, you are converting its value to a smaller number. Like you make a hash code for something. It's similar to that. And if you are talking about Java, there are tree maps, unordered map, hash table. So there are different kind of things, but let's stick to a single map for now, so that you are, at least for beginners who can easily relate to this. But again, you can only understand these concepts when you solve the problems. Without that, you can never understand maps and all. So yeah, so now let's, what I was telling was, yeah, so we are discussing about the time complexity. So basically, whenever you are inserting this, it takes order of log n, because it's a tree structure. Again, we are not going to details. So every insert operation takes log n time. So the complete n instructions will take n log n time. And yeah, and similarly for searching also, it takes log n time. So, and again, it depends, like if you have an unordered map, it search in order of constant time, so that you can study. But the main purpose was to tell you about the map, like how the data is stored. And that's why it is also data structure, because it is storing the data in some format. You can said we are not covering today. And there are other STL functions. So you can sort, you can use reverse. But one thing that I wanted to cover and wanted to show the power of map is, I will take 5 more minutes of yours, but you will understand a power of map. So let's say I give you a question. Now find the frequency of names. Okay, let's say I'm giving you some names, Shikhar, and let's say Ram, again Ram, and let's say Lakshman, and let's say Rahul. And now I am asking you to tell me the frequency of these. So again, if you are using C, then it's going to be very difficult to solve this question, because now you can understand you have a basically char array, and you have different strings. So you might have used 2D char array, or you might have also used here pointer. And if you are using C++, then it's again very simple, because this is a data type called string. And in Java also you have a data type string. But what I wanted to tell you is, now if you want to find the frequency of name, it's in map, it's again very simple. Let's say you have a table, you will have a key and value, but here, now the key will be of type string, right? So you will write Shikhar, its frequency is 1, Ram will come, you will write Ram, its frequency is 1. Ram will come, frequency is 1. Sorry, Ram will come and frequency will be 2. Then Lakshman will come, Lakshman will have frequency 1. And again, these keys will be stored in sorted order that you can ignore for now. You will understand whenever you use map. Then Rahul will come, Rahul will have frequency 1. But what's more important, I want to tell you, you just have to write map of string comma int, and rest of the question will be same, m of a of I plus plus, that we told, and then to iterate. So just see the power. So now, so you can define a map of anything. You can define a map of string comma int, because your now key is string. And I have a question that you can solve after the session, which will help you in preparing this. So that's the power of map I wanted to discuss. And there are some questions. I think we'll send you the PPT after the session. And also I think I'll also share the codes to them, and they'll upload to GitHub repo, and then you can share. So yeah, I think we are also like close to time. So I think that's all from my side today, and I hope you might have understood at least 40% or 20%, if not 100%. But again, more main important thing is, I'll again and again say whenever I take any session on my channel also, you have to spend time understanding a concept. You cannot expect from a YouTube video to understand everything. So you have to definitely read on your own. You have to solve problems, and that's how I also learned during my time. And I'll also suggest you to do the same. So I think that's all from my side. I think the organizers now can take over from here.
Okay, now we'll have the quiz. So the link for the quiz is, I'm dropping in the chat box. So there are prizes for the winners. And the practice questions have been, the link for the practice questions is added in the description box. So please go through the practice questions and practice them to get a better grip on the concepts that we covered. And please attend the quiz, all of you. Guys, hurry up because the first submission with the most correct answers will be the winner. If you have any more questions, you can comment. What's the deadline for the quiz? There is no deadline for the quiz. It's just the first submission with all correct answers will be the winner.
Actually, the quiz is open till 8 o'clock, so you can attend till then.
So the quiz will be logged at 8 o'clock. Thank you everyone for joining the first day of DSA Carnival. Hope you liked it, and there are many more sessions where we covered all the other topics of data structures and algorithms. Stay tuned and attend all our rest of the sessions.